How's it going, everyone? Session here. Welcome to Final Fantasy XIV Dawntrail. This is going to be a basic guide just covering the basic foundation of Viper. If you picked up the job and you're kind of wondering like how I play Viper, this guide will serve that much. This is a basic guide. I will create a more intermediate and advanced guide down the road. And also this is me playing it on controller, so we'll use the controller as an example as well. Now, with Viper in mind, there is a lot going on and it's pretty busy and kind of tough to keep track of when you're kind of picking it up at first, but once you get more familiar to it, then it'll kind of make more sense. The hotbar I currently have as a controller player, I recommend just because of how the buttons work. Since Viper doesn't technically have a lot of buttons, it thrives a lot on having buttons transform kind of between each other when you are doing your combos as well as your burst, if you will. So there is a fundamental of 4 key points you want to keep in mind when playing Viper. You have your buffs and your debuffs, you have your positionals, you have your coils, and then you have your burst mode. So we'll cover all that in this guide at the basic level. Now, the thing with Viper, in a very simple manner, is that you just press the button on your hotbar that's glowing, and you're playing Viper. That's the basic idea of it. So Viper has, I would say, there are 4 buffs to keep in mind. 3 of them basically increase your speed and or power, and the 4th one is a debuff you apply on your target. So we'll cover all of that here in just a second. So very similar to Reaper, the most important thing you want to make sure of is that you apply the debuff to your target. The debuff's name is Noxious Nash. This is applied whenever you use an ability that has the word dread in it. Viper is very focused on having certain attacks, certain names do certain things. So you'll see either the word dread, the word hunters, the word swiftskin, you'll see flank, or you'll see hind. So the word dread just applies the damage debuff on your target, and you want to keep this debuff on your target at all times. You can apply the debuff by pressing Dread Fangs, or you can apply it by pressing Dread Winder. The max timer is 40 seconds. It does not go higher than 40, and as long as you keep it above, I would say like above, like 2 seconds and under 40, then you're fine. Now, additionally, you're going to have either Swiftskin Sting or Hunter Sting. As you can tell, both attacks do the exact same damage. The difference is that one gives you a speed buff and the other gives you a power buff. So we'll apply the speed buff really quickly. And now you have the option of Hind's Bane Fang or Hind's Hind's Sting Strike, sorry. Though the fundamental idea behind this is both buttons are red. So if you see the red button, you need to be behind your target to do the damage. And additionally, they deliver the exact same potency. So it doesn't matter which one you technically press at the beginning, but whichever one you press first will matter moving forward. So we'll do Hind's Sting Strike first. And now we can reapply the Dread Fang because we lost a buff. And now, because I have the speed buff up, I don't have the power buff. I have to apply that power buff next. And now you'll see that flanks is the next position you have here. So green or flank means sides. So you need to apply this move from the side. And that's the fundamental idea behind playing Viper. You'll press the button that's glowing, and then you'll move on to your power buff, and then you'll do your flank attack, and then you go back here. So every time you do either one positional, you automatically switch to the next. So you did the rear attack, you automatically should go to the side and get ready to use the flank attack. Whenever you use a flank attack, it'll power up the next rear attack that you do. So you always want to make sure that you press, again, the button that is simply glowing. And that's the idea behind the combo system with Viper at a single target level. At the AoE level, you kind of have a similar idea. Like Dread Maw is a dread attack, it'll apply the debuff. You have either Hunters or Swiftskin. Again, it'll apply you this speed buff or the power buff. And then you have Bloodied Maw or Jagged Maw. Which one you press, as you can see by the potency, it does not matter for the first one, but similar to the single target combo, because also they're not positionals, you press one, it'll automatically require you to press the other. So, and again, it's the same functionality as well. So you see Bloody Maw is buffed, and now when I go back and do Dragon Maw, that button will be blinking because it is more powerful than Bloodied. And that's pretty much it. Now, the thing that makes Viper busier is that you also have a move that you have as a follow-up with this move called Serpent's Tail. It'll change to either Death Rattle or Last Lash when you complete the third combo in your attack, whether it's the AoE version or single target. Now, with Viper, you cannot switch between single target and AoE. If you start with one combo in either format, you must complete the combo. So you can't do like the first attack of, you can't do Dread Fangs into the Hunter or Swiftskin's Den. It doesn't change here. So you have to commit to pressing the single target button. If you want to press, and then you'll press Death Rattle. If you want to do the AoE version, again, same format. You have to commit to the AoE version and finish it from there. So, again, Serpent's Tail will activate anytime you complete the third attack in a combo. So we'll do Dreadfang, and then we'll do Hunters, and then we do Flanksbane. And then you'll see this move glows. It does a potency of 250, and it happens anytime you complete a positional in that combo perspective specifically. It's only when you do either one of these two or these two combos. So you'll always follow up with it. You are required to follow up with it. You cannot save that button. So if you were to do the combo, let's say I do the third combo attack here, and then I'll do my Hindsbane, and if I do Steel Fangs, that button disappears. That means that you have to use it before you press another combo and start. You must always press the Serpent's Tail after your third combo. Pretty much. Okay. And the same rule applies for the AoE version. If I want to use the AoE combo as well, I can do that. You'll do Hunters, and then you'll do like Bloodied, and then it turns into Last Lash, which is good against AoE targets. So that's how that works with the first combo. I would wager that there's two more, but there's technically three. I'll go into detail. Now, the additional functionality of Viper is you have something that's called the Winder and the Coils. So Dreadwinder, similar to Dread Fangs, Dreadwinder applies the Noxus Nash debuff on your target. And then it'll follow up with Hunter's Coil and Swiftskin's Coil. Swiftskin's Coil is a attack from the rear. And then you must automatically follow it up with Hunter's Coil, which is done from the flank. If you were to do Dreadwinder and then do Swiftskin and then do like Dreadfangs, as you can see, the potency for that button doesn't work and the button is lost. So you must follow up the coils with each other. You cannot, this basically counts as another, like a third combo in itself. You must follow up the Dreadwinder into the two coils, one after another. And if you don't, then like I said, you'll lose that potency. Additionally though, similar to how you do the third combo with Viper attack and you get the Serpent's Tail, there is a follow-up with the coils, and it's a double follow-up called the Twins. So Twins Fang and Twin Blood will change into, Twin Blood, Bite, Thresh, or Twin Blood, depending on Uncoiled Twin Blood, depending on what button you're pressing. So if I do Dreadwinder and I press Swiftskin's Coil, the two twins here will transform. And again, similar to Serpent's Tail, you must press those two buttons before you press the next coil. So I'll press Swiftskin, then I have to press these two, and then Hunters, and then press the two again. There is an order specifically in which one you press. So if I press Dreadwinder and if I do Swiftskin, you'll see here that Twin Blood blinks first and then Twin Fang. But then when I press Hunters, it's Twin Fang and then Twin Blood. Unlike the coil buttons over here, you have another button called Uncoiled Fury. This is a very powerful, hard-hitting AoE attack, and it will automatically always follow up with Twin Fang. So it'll always do Twin Fang, then Twin Blood. So you'll press Uncoiled Fury, and then you follow up immediately with Twin Fang and then Blood. Similar to the coils, if you do Uncoiled Fury, and let's say you press the first Twin Fang, and then you immediately go to like Dread Fangs, you lose that button. So whenever you see the button Coil on it, you need to follow up the button with both twins after each other. Always. It's like the requirement, pretty much. So with the bang and the flank strike attacks, you have the serpent's tail, and then when you use the coil attacks, you have the twins. So you'll always follow up those two buttons as they are back to back. And this is what kind of causes the job overall for Viper to feel very busy, is because you have two combos in a single target level that you'll press that has a follow-up automatically at an OGCD level, and then you have the coil buttons that follow up each other automatically with two OGCDs. And like I said, you press those buttons back to back. There is also an AoE version as well. So if you want, Pit of Dread is your AoE, because again, the word dread's in it. Pit of Dread is your AoE Dreadwinder. And then you have Swiskin's Den and Hunter's Den. And similarly, one will activate your power buff and have two follow-ups. And then Swiskin is your speed, and then again applies two follow-ups. And in the same exact fashion, you must apply these two before you switch to the next button. So generally, the AoE is good against 3 targets or more, and then the single target is good against 1. Lastly, the last thing to keep in mind of, and you'll learn this ability at level 90, you do not need to do the role quest for the job in order to unlock the button. It's kind of different than like Reaper and Sage and other jobs beforehand. You can level Viper from 80 to 100 and not do any quest line. You can just level up the job to 100, and then you have every button available. But the next button you have to worry about is called Reawaken. This button actually, unlike Reaper's and Shroud, it does damage. It'll do 700 potency, and it is a pretty strong attack that you have to perform close by. At this distance, it does not hit. So you will lose damage if you press this button away. You need to be on your target to hit with this attack. And again, it does a lot of damage. The reason for the hotbar is that all of your attacks that are here turn into what's called the generations. So if you have the first generation here, you will automatically follow it up with second generation. And then it'll follow up with the third, and then it'll follow up with the fourth. So you would need to build the gauge. The gauge is built up by simply just using your combos. If you do your combos here, I'll do Swiftskin, and then I'll do Hindsight, and then I will do that. See, so whenever you complete the third combo, you get 10 gauge. You need 50 to activate Reawaken. If I do Dreadwinder, though, you'll see here that the coils individually will grant me 5, and then Uncoiled Fury does not grant me any. So whenever you complete a third combo or do a coil, or sorry, a third combo will give you 10, a coil will give you 5. You need 50 to activate Reawaken. And you'll see here, if I press it, it does damage. Then you can press each of the generations, one after another, the ones that are glowing, and then you will have been able to effectively do damage as a Viper. There is a button that you'll learn later on at 96 called Ouroboros, and it will change your button with Reawaken. So you'll press those 4 generations, and then you'll finish it later on with Reawaken. There is no defensive capabilities for Viper in the PvP format. The only thing you have to keep in mind of when it comes to like your buffs, if you will, is what's called the Serpent's Ire. The Serpent's Ire will automatically allow you to Reawaken for free, and it does not give you gauge. It just automatically grants you the ability to use Reawaken at no cost. And it gives you a free use of Uncoiled Fury. It will give you a stack. So you do not want to go in with 3 stacks and then press Serpent's Ire. It will give you one of these. So you need to have space to use Serpent's Ire to get a stack here. But like I said, you can freely activate Reawaken and then go into your generations, and you'll be able to do your burst combo as necessary. Now, Reawaken and the generations are AoEs, so it doesn't matter if you press the single target version or the AoE version, they both do the same thing. The buttons will transform in the same exact format. So as long as you continuously keep your Diamond, Gem, Rattling Coil Furies intact, and also make sure that you have your Dread buff up, then you are pretty much ready to play Viper. That's literally the way that it works. So the hotbar, like I said, I recommend you have it set up similarly to this one. The only 4 important buttons that you need to have in mind are the fangs and the coils. These 4 buttons together should be in the similar place so that it's easy for you to press your generation buttons one after another in order and not run into any issues where you're going to be confused. So this is my recommendation in terms of the hotbar here. You do have a gap closer called Slither, and obviously it covers the distance. I do not recommend you use this button as a means of like keeping the distance away from the target. So like let's say the boss has like a big AoE. Don't use it as a return while using Uncoiled Fury or anything like that, because instead of having to use Slither to return back in, which you can do, you can just from a distance use Uncoiled Fury as well as the Twin Fangs and then use that as your opportunity to come back in. But if you're in the middle of using, say, like your Dread Fang combo, like this, for example, you can press this and then return and then be able to return to the target. However, you got to be careful because it's going to be tough to do that when you also have to worry about your Serpent's Tail. So if you do this, then you don't really have a lot of time to return back to your target and press both of these buttons together. So I recommend you just try to commit to using one of them instead. But obviously power and damage is more important than, you know, so sometimes you got to just kind of just take that for the measure. So I would recommend, you know, you just try to use the Uncoiled Fury from a distance if you can. And if you can't, then your safest bet is to use the Writhing Snap and then Slither back in return. That will be the more ideal case scenario. However, in an ideal sense of it all, though, you use this button as like a safety measure. This button is not used at all in your combo or rotation at all for a Viper. And that's pretty much how the job works overall. Like I said, once you get used to the button presses and everything with the job overall, you'll actually end up playing it and it will just naturally make a lot of sense. Again, just press the button that glows and do the positionals. Green is flank, red is rear, and then the coils, and press your buttons back to back, and just you should be set to go with being able to play the job very effectively. So if there are any further questions, please do let me know. Again, I don't plan on playing or maining Viper to a degree in this expansion. However, I find this job to be incredibly fun, and I am expecting there to be changes for the job like sooner than later. So we'll kind of see as time goes on, but this is the basic guide of playing Viper at this level. So we'll tune in next time and I'll show you the more intermediate functionality of the job at level 100, as well as the more advanced tech for the job overall as well when we get there. So hope you guys enjoyed. Take care.